When you look for secrets within Nichirin blade colors, this guy's swords are the last you think of because they look almost like plain metal. But they're actually indigo gray, and indigo, which symbolizes intuition and sincerity, is the perfect match for a boar-headed tsundere. It's not hard to see how his character is almost purely guided by intuition, like the time he pulled out of a headbutt way before he even knew Tanjiro had a skull of steel. He's also a little rough around the edges, and his blades, as a result of his modifications, seem to resemble teeth. A pair of swords without a handle must seem cooler and tougher to Inosuke. But what's more interesting is that if you think about it, the two swords resemble the tusks of a boar too. Indigo gray also gives it a really rugged look, and I can't imagine Inosuke wanting it any other way. A great fit for his beast breathing style for sure, making it a perfect match for our king of the mountain. Zenitsu's blade has a peculiar lightning-like pattern which is yellow, symbolizing his thunder breathing. But it might surprise you that his blade's color could also reflect his cowardly nature as well. Ever heard of the term yellow-bellied? It's a description used to describe someone who is a coward. And yet, he's definitely not one of the most courageous characters here. Maybe that's the reason why he seems way stronger when he's asleep, when he can just bypass his fear. And did you also notice the pattern on the tsuba? It has these little triangles carved onto it which resembles the patterns on his aori. Historically, these scale-like patterns were often adorned by Japanese samurai as a protective charm to ward them from harm and evil. And I can see why Zenitsu needs them to be on his sword as well. This is definitely something our boy who is oh so scared of demons would use. Fun fact! Zenitsu is one of the rare demon slayers whose swords never broke. Can you guess why? Just take a look at his one and only technique, because otherwise his sword is always sheathed. It's called Iaijutsu, by the way. The color of evil and bad luck, black, doesn't sit right for somebody as selfless and gentle as Tanjiro, but that's the color his Nichirin blade turned into. You can't really blame Haganezuka for body blocking him, as there's a myth that black sword wielders often don't live very long. Well, I can't really tell if he was worried about Tanjiro's fate or if he was just pissed that the sword did not turn a bright red color. Maybe it's just that Hyotoko mask. Can't quite tell his facial expressions. But here's a secret. The color black absorbs all colors of light. You probably just realized that this ties in with what Tanjiro will be mastering in the future. It's the first breathing style, sun breathing. Since black is able to absorb the most sunlight, it's especially deadly to demons. And did you notice the tsuba looks somewhat similar to his earrings, with all the lines converging from a circle? These earrings were worn by the first sun-breathing user, Yorichi. So, similar to his earrings, the tsuba could also be foreshadowing him mastering sun-breathing. Kanao. The pure and delicate sister-in-law slasher possesses a light pink Nichirin blade that represents her flower breathing. The light shade of pink symbolizes tenderness and sweetness. Just like our flower girl Kanao, she had never lost her temper until she met her sweetheart Tanjiro. And she definitely needs to show some happiness when her loved ones recover though, or that Kakushi's gonna explode again. Anyway, if you have noticed, there are sakura flowers in a winding pattern on the tsuba. With her graceful and swift breathing form with flower petals all around her, don't you think this makes her look just like a flower fairy? And now, the Hashira. Did you notice that all pillars' blades have the Japanese kanji words Aki Misatsu, which translates to destroyer of demons? This inscription symbolizes their esteemed status and immense power when confronting demons. And who better to start with than the symbol of passion and courage, Rengoku? He wields the red Nichirin Sword, which perfectly suits his personality and breathing style. It also reveals his strong desire to save the innocents in the most difficult situations. All I can say is that our courageous and big-hearted hero was always willing to sacrifice himself to save others. During his fight against Akaza to safeguard Tanjiro and the company, the flamboyant Hashira never hesitated to sacrifice his life. Also, did you notice that his sword has this blazing red fire pattern traveling through the blade paired with a flame-shaped tsuba? They really highlight his ever-burning desire to slay demons. And with all the memes going around, I'm just glad he's now able to eat a real donut after reincarnating in modern times. Shinobu's lavender blue sword resembles a rapier and an insect stinger which matches her insect breathing style. Shaped like a needle, she uses her sword to inject poison into her enemy before she beheads them easily. The color lavender blue symbolizes grace and tranquility. She's usually calm and fights gracefully with her breathing style. Well, that's if you exclude her fight against Doma, as that one's much more personal. Also, do you know that her blade's sheath is quite unique too? It is something like a poison mixer that allows her to change the poison that coats her blade during battle. And don't miss out on the tsuba, which is shaped like a butterfly. Similar to butterflies, Shinobu possesses an outward beauty and fragility that conceals a lethal stinger behind her delicate appearance. Giyu's aloofness, coldness, and lack of emotion at times can easily be represented by the cool blue shade of his Nichirin sword. The color of his blade also symbolizes water, which associates well with his water-breathing style. I was actually staring at the tsuba for quite some time, thinking if there was some sort of secret behind it. And then it hit me!
Hit me maybe one more time.
Look closely at its hexagon shape. Doesn't it remind you of the hexagonal patterns on his haori that belongs to his late friend Sabito? And what about the maroon-colored border? It's almost the same color as the other half of his haori. This maroon shade belonged to his deceased sister. As we all know that these two brave souls sacrificed their lives to save Giyu, it's no wonder he would want to keep them close to him. On to the opposite end of the spectrum, the sound Hashira Tengen is loud and energetic. Linked together by a metal chain, he wields a pair of amber-colored Nichirin blades. The color, amber, perfectly reflects his flamboyant and bold personality. His twin Nichirin cleavers resembles the kusarigama, a type of sickle-like weapon that ninjas normally use in battles due to the chains linking them. Plus, a single large hole in each blade allows him to hook onto the enemy's weapons or bodies, which is similar to the kusarigama. Another flashy thing about his blade is that the tsuba and sword handle consist of two contrasting colors, red and green. These two opposing shades definitely make his sword stand out even more. But just don't expect his enemies to find it so festive. Despite the unique shape of Mitsuri's blade, it is still called a pink Nichirin sword. But did you also know that its shape is based on an Indian weapon called urumi? It acts like a whip and sword in battles, and even though it looks rather thin and light, this weapon requires an immense amount of strength and endurance to use effectively. Well, this isn't a problem for Mitsuri, as she has a muscle composition that is 8 times the density of an average human. Despite her lovable and gentle demeanor, she possesses incredible strength and endurance, which makes her a perfect wielder of the soft yet powerful whip-like weapon. Pain clearly suits our love Hashira, as it symbolizes romance, affection, and innocence. We all know the reason why Mitsuri joined the Demon Slayer Corps, don't we? Yep, to find a man who is stronger than her. And pink is also the color of her favorite food, sakura mochi. Now let's take a closer look at the tsuba. It consists of 4 pink interlocking hearts, and these 4 hearts form the shape of a 4-leaf clover, which is supposed to bring good luck. Aw, I'm sure she doesn't need any luck in finding a boyfriend, as she's plenty popular. Sorry, Obanai. Our snake boy wields a sword that is just as strange as Mitsuri. Symbolizing his serpent breathing, Obanai's wavy snake-like sword takes after the classical Indonesian Kris sword. The color of his sword is lavender, and it represents faithfulness, devotion, and tenderness. This totally corresponds to his love and desire to make Mitsuri happy even in their next life. Oh, how sweet. And taking a closer look, his blade tsuba has a pair of snake connected by some plant-like patterns, which again relates to his serpent breathing style. Another interesting thing that I found is that Obanai has a special leather scabbard that is held together by a weak magnet, so he can unsheath his sword vertically during battles. See, it is more efficient this way due to the shape of his blade, and it's hard to imagine it being sheathed in any other way. When a Nichirin blade turns emerald green, it usually indicates that the bearer will become a master of wind breathing. Green represents nature, while wind symbolizes the raw and brutal power of nature. Just like our wind Hashira, Sanemi can manipulate the wind with ferocity. His blade color captures both his brutal nature and his caring side. Even if he portrays himself as a hot-blooded and aggressive guy, we all know that deep down, he's actually a caring guy. If you didn't know, Sanemi is a marechi, meaning that his blood is rarer than normal human beings. The intoxicating smell of his blood always attracts demons like a magnet. That's why he's mean to others so that they avoid coming near him. Also, just look at how he taunted Demon Nezuko to attack him. Probably he didn't want history to repeat itself. He needed assurances that Nezuko would not be like his deceased mother who became a demon and killed his loved ones. His tsuba resembles a green flower with sharp edges highlighting his gentle yet violent nature. I also realized that it has 8 sharp edges that look almost like a compass rose, sometimes also called the wind rose. Psst, wind breathing? And knowing the fact that Sanemi hates demons so much, it is no surprise that he wanted to lure the demons out from all directions and exterminate them. The mist Hashira, Muichiro, has a simple yet powerful white Nichirin blade. When we think of mist, the color white comes to mind, but white also represents emptiness and loneliness, which in a way suits how Muichiro behaves. He is often seen as forgetful with his mind constantly wandering. However, he wasn't always like this before he joined the Demon Slayer Corps, as he was a caring and compassionate boy. After his twin brother's death, he started to lose his memories and emotions, almost like a mist protecting his sanity. And so, white may also represent Muichiro's mourning and longing for his late twin. And the tsuba consists of 4 simple hollow squares at the corners, which might be emphasizing the emptiness in Muichiro's heart after losing his loved ones. As the stone Hashira, deep gray is a perfect match for Gyomei, as his color usually symbolizes the stone, which corresponds to his breathing style. Our gentle giant wields a spiked flail, which is attached to the hilt of a hand axe through a long chain, and they are all made with the same metals used in Nichirin blades. Since Gyomei is blind, he uses the sound of the chains to judge his enemies' positions and movement during battles. Gray also represents wisdom and intellect, which reflects Gyomei's ability to analyze and strategize in any given situation, as seen in his major role in the final fight against Muzan. So if you were a Demon Slayer, which Nichirin blade would you love to have? Remember to subscribe. Bye!